Filthy.
Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. And today I have the honor and the pleasure, as it never gets old to me, to interview one of the masters, Professor Kaba Kamene. Hotep, Professor Kaba. How you been, man? What's going on?
Hotep to my brother Andre. Everything is excellent, brother, man. How about with you?
I can't complain. I woke up, so everything else I'm gonna figure out, man. So I'm just ready to get down, 10 toes down in the trenches and make it do what it do.
Sound good, brother, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I see you got a lot going on, Professor Kaba. You've been doing and making some very powerful moves in a lot of different ways, as usual. But I know as of late, I've seen you got several different projects that you are in the process of launching, and a few new ones that you've already launched since the last time we spoke. And then you've been touring around the country as well, going to different cities and doing what you do, pouring the light into the people and sharing the wisdom that that you've been sharing with us for decades now. So you want to kind of let the people know what all you've had going on, what you've been up to, and what we can expect coming up in the future.
Oh yeah, man. No, like you say, we've been working, brother, and the community has really supported us to be able to do what's necessary. And I've been working, really very much on my newest book that's titled Carbon Before Melanin. It's a book about melanin, but it incorporates a number of different aspects of it as it relates to understanding what melanin is. And I go back to Dr. Sebi, who is the Afro bio-mineralist, very much into health and nutrition from an African perspective. And he used to always say to me, he say, Booker T, that was my name before Kaba, you always talk about melanin, but it was carbon before melanin. Carbon is what brought melanin into existence. And so that's my subtitle. Well, that's my actual title, Carbon Before Melanin. And my subtitle is a double entendre, Creators on Earth. Creators as it relates to a possessive. The creator is on Earth. And then it's also a plural, creators on Earth, which deals with the fact that, we are the creators that are on Earth.
Right.
And the second section of my book deals with my curricula on teaching melanin to children and how I taught it looking at science, astronomy, oceanography, botany, and biology. How do we teach it to the children? How do we help them understand exactly what this molecule is and what the carbon atom is? So I've been working on that, but I've also been working on my curriculum, which is really the cornerstone to my life's work. This is a curriculum I've been working on since I first went to Kemet in 1983. I worked on it before, but never had the foundational ability to put it in place. I first went to Kemet in 83, and I started writing the curricula. Then I went to Mexico and studied the African presence in Mexico with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima in 84. And then I returned back to Kemet to study in 1988. And out of that comes the history of ancient Africa. So we've been working on a number of different things, my brother, Andre, because I've come to realize, and I think that, everything that we've been doing shows us that if it is to be, it's up to me. And when I say me, I mean each and every one of us.
Right. That's right.
We have to do this. Nobody is going to do this the way we do it.
Right.
And so what I'm attempting to do is to create a crusade for us to become teachers, going into the early grades and giving the concept to the children in middle school, high school, and college that become a teacher. I know that when I taught college for 14 years. And I know that one of the things that I always did was I tried to get the students to double major. Whatever you were majoring in, go ahead and major. Computer science, art, math, whatever.
Right.
That's you. Law, want to become a doctor, but also take the credits to become a teacher.
Right.
And if you're not going to do that, at least minor in education.
Right.
And so I'm on a crusade for us to become teachers, because with everything that I may talk about as it relates to what is happening in our school system, if we ourselves are not teachers, we cannot move into that position to do what's necessary.
Right.
And so that's what I've been working on also, is developing a methodology, which is in my webinars. I have webinars up on my website at www.kabakamene.com. It's also the link in my bio in my Instagram, which is methodology, how to teach.
Right.
And how to utilize different principles in teaching. Quick webinars, about a half hour.
That's what's
So
up.
this is what we've been doing, building, continuing to build. You know, we wrote 2 children's books, Shabaka Stone for Children and Thoughts from a Black Light. Because it's up to us, Brother Andre. You know, we know this, you know this. Absolutely. We all really know this. I guess maybe accepting the responsibility is another aspect to what it is, because it takes work.
Right.
And it demands excellence in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we've been doing, doing a lot of webinars and webinars. And so, you know, Dr. Clark used to always say, perfect your craft.
That's facts.
So we've been just trying to get better at what we do.
That's facts. That's what's up. I always take notes when I speak with you, because there's always so much to unpack. So I can't try to hold it to my mind to hold all that to remember everything. But one of the questions that I wrote when you were speaking is when we speak about melanin and we speak about the carbon, and I've seen and heard you speak on this before, but one of my favorite videos from you is on YouTube is Black People Come from the Stars. And you broke down in a very scientific, methodical way about how the combination between carbon and melanin, and then us being, I want to say, crystallized stars, encapsulated through, I don't even want to go into it, but can you kind of break down the correlation between melanin and carbon and us with the stars?
Well, you know, what's interesting, Brother Andre, is the fact that when you go out into the cosmos, there is a blackness in the cosmos.
Right.
And in that blackness, there is dark matter and there's dark energy.
Gotcha.
There is far more dark energy than there is dark matter. And dark energy pushes in on dark matter. And it pushes in and it pushes in until there is just a kernel, a seed, a black dot, almost like a carbon atom. Not the carbon atom that we know on Earth. It is the cosmic carbon. And out of that, there comes an implosion, nanodiamonds. And that's what creates the stars. And so stars are crystallized blackness. When you come down to the Earth, it is very similar. The blackness that is pushed in on itself.
Right.
And it pushed in and pushed in until there's no other room, and then it explodes. And in so many ways, that's exactly what happens when our parents come together and they procreate and we come into existence. And in science, it's called a Big Bang. And I think some of us call it a Big Bang ourselves when we are with our counterpart.
Yeah.
And that implosion occurs. An explosion, which is us,
right,
which is the woman's egg and the male spermatozoon, singular for spermatozoa. But then in that explosion, the zygote is created. And the zygote is that fertilized egg. And then out of that comes the multiplication called mitosis. That the unity of the male and female then begins to multiply. and it multiplies into 2 cells, and then 2 become 4, 4 become 8, 8 becomes 16. So in many ways, we come into existence the same way that the stars come into existence.
Right. Wow.
And that we are the crystallized. And one of the things about Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum that I appreciate in his book, Dark Light, and it's something that I focus in on, the book, and the book should be published by the end of the year. One of the things that Dr. Bruce Bynum focuses on is the idea of understanding that there's no such thing as a dark complexion and a light complexion. Dark-skinned and light-skinned doesn't exist.
Right.
You're either pigmented or you're not, or by matter of degree, you are pigmented. You are melanated. And that comes through various forms. The original melanin, of course, is neuromelanin that forms during embryogenesis, which is the beginnings of every human being.
Right.
So it begins there. But the idea is the fact that neuromelanin in every organ and gland in your body, if you didn't have melanin in your eyes, you couldn't see. If you didn't have it in your ears, you couldn't hear. If you didn't have it in your inner ear, you would not have good balance. If it wasn't in your heart, it wouldn't beat. If it wasn't in your blood, it wouldn't circulate. If it wasn't in your respiratory system, you wouldn't breathe. It's the mothership of life. And so you have pheomelanin, which is a lack of the production of melanin, or you have eumelanin, EU melanin, which is what the original human beings had. And so skin happens to be the largest organ on your body, and that is where you first encounter melanin. So that carbon is the atom that has a great deal to do with life on Earth. That is why everything is carbon dated. Organic life, this is why when people talk about organic, this is organic or that's not organic. Organic simply means that whatever that entity is, it has assimilated carbon and it has been brought to life. What animates us is blackness.
Wow.
And this includes everybody, all human beings, all animals, all plants,
wow,
all of us. What animates for life, the living, is carbon. It's just simple. It's science. We're living in a world where they have taken that concept and they have made it evil because of their lack of melanin. They try to make us think that it's a byproduct. And we don't understand the deeper importance of what melanin does for life on Earth and how it interplays with us. There's a spiritual aspect to melanin. There's a soulful aspect to melanin. There's a mental aspect to melanin, and there's a physical aspect to melanin. And I feel that it was time to write this book to complement the other books that I've written, Shabaka Stone and Spirituality Before Religions. Just something that we need to start to do no matter what people may feel.
Right. Now that's deep. Now let me ask you this, Professor Kaba, because I know you said the curriculum was one of the cornerstones of your life's work. So when you talk about the curriculum and you already gave the marching orders for us to become teachers, what are some of the core elements and like what are the main fundamental principles that make up the curriculum, and then how can we start to implement some of these principles based off of the curriculum?
In the Quibinar series that I do with Harun Nasset, we try to establish the fact that there are areas of the brain. We must understand the brain. You know, in Django Unchained, there's a scene where the character played by Leonardo DiCaprio is sitting at the table. And he talks about what makes a slave. And he says there's a part of the brain that is where the center of making someone enslaved is. And that's true. In the middle section of your brain, in your limbic system, there is a section in your brain known as the amygdala, AMYGDALA. And the amygdala is the house of your emotions. For every emotion you have, for every facial expression you have, it emanates out of the amygdala. Fear, happiness, shock, surprise. It is the house of fear. And in that house of fear is what enslaves somebody. That you can so treat them, or they can treat themselves or view themselves in a way that they believe themselves to be less than. And if you're really successful, you can convince them that they are worthless. Where they will not only look at themselves as being worthless, but they'll look at everybody else that looks like them as worthless. But if you could take the conceptual framework of understanding how to reverse that, how to deprogram and then reprogram what has happened, then they will then begin to see themselves differently. So that what becomes important in the classroom, particularly when we're dealing with foundational Black Americans, and by foundational Black Americans, in no way am I separating myself from my brothers and sisters of the diaspora, because I am Nebu Afrika, what is called Pan-African, but that's a Roman word, which means all African. Pan means all Africans. Nebu Afrika means the same thing, but it's far more inclusive of nature and the cosmic reality. Foundational Black Americans simply means that you can trace your ancestry back to the plantations of what we call America. That's simply what it means. It has nothing to do with competing or comparing ourselves to brothers and sisters from Central or South America, the Caribbean, places in Europe, or our brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa herself. And so we have to understand that as foundational Black Americans, coming from this land, our ancestors coming from this land, there is a historical continuity in our experience. There is something that has been handed down transgenerationally, intergenerationally. It has become an epigenetic tag for us as people. And so when we are experiencing our people, there are certain things that we have to understand about who they are and what they are, and to be able to reflect back on who we see ourselves as. Because sometimes, Brother Andre, we forget where we came from.
Oh, yeah.
We forget.
Yeah.
And we hold them in contempt for what we ourselves know why that's happening. So teachers have to be a little bit more than just teachers. Some of us have to be guidance counselors. Some of us have to be fathers and mothers to the children that we are educating. And to understand that to educate comes from the word educe, which means to draw out. It doesn't mean to put in. But our teaching approach is to put in information. Let me teach you something.
Right.
No, let me draw out of you what you already know. And that comes from the way we phrase and how we speak to our students and to the people that we're talking to. So that you have to understand the amygdala, and you have to understand another part of your limbic system that's known as your hippocampus, which is where your long-term memory exists. And when I look at the hippocampus, it's not just your long-term memory as it relates to your time on the earth. It's your ancestral intelligence. That's AI to me. AI is ancestral intelligence.
I like that.
And that through that, you tap into knowledge and wisdom that your ancestors have experienced. And when you think of how many ancestors you have, I always do this thanking a Instagram page, Ancient Footprints, where they talk about how many ancestors you have. You have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents. and on down the line. If I took you back 20 generations, which for me is 25 years a generation, becomes 500 years. If I took you back 500 years to the year 1523, you ask yourself, how many ancestors did it take for you to come into existence?
Wow.
And that number mathematically is 1,048,576 human beings. So when you think about that number, that it took each and every one of us to come into existence, then I dropped the other shoe by asking if it took 1,048,576, keeping in mind 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, on down the line, 500 years. If it took 1,048,576 people to bring you into existence, 500 years, how many ancestors do you think if I took you back 5 million? How much happiness was in those people? How much knowledge and wisdom was in those people? How much sadness were in those people that dwell within you? And so you are far more than who you think you are. You have far more of a collective experience and a collective unconscious than you think you have. But we're so caught up in the world we're living in, Brother Andre, we don't have time to stop and focus on how great we really are.
Right.
Because we trying to survive. Folks say, hey, how can I think about that when I'm trying to put food on the table tonight? When I'm trying to get my thing together so that I can take care of my children. And I understand that. But it still doesn't take away from the facts of what I just said to you.
Right.
As to who you are as an individual and how great you are and what those ancestors did to get you here. I got it made compared to what our ancestors went through. I mean, I got it made. And we just have to tap into the ancestral intelligence to help us understand what it is that we have to do. Each and every one of us was born with a divine assignment. And our life is based on us finding what that assignment was. You might have to work for FedEx to put food on the table. You might have to be a secretary or a computer analyst. But you were born with a divine destiny. You were born before FedEx existed. You were born before that office that you work in existed. What is your divine assignment that you were born with? Before you were born, in fact, you were born with the intentions of you fulfilling that divine assignment. That's why you were born, to do something. In this society, in this Babylon system, they will try to distract you because they know that if you ever did find that divine assignment and got on the path of Ma'at to fulfill it, you quite an individual.
That's deep. Like that's powerful. I got a lot of questions. So with everything you just said, that's extremely powerful. And I can't even rate for that piece alone. But for everything you just said, one of the things that I've been doing lately is helping people in the community in terms of like spiritual guidance and spiritual counseling. And, through some of the practices in which we utilize, the divination systems to do that, I'm able to channel information, of course, from the ancestors and to be able to give it to, the people receiving the messages. And I think one of the similarities I see in a lot of the sessions that I have in the consultations is people not having the faith or having the confidence to truly tap into the divine aspects of themselves, the higher version, the higher power, the higher energy and frequency of themselves. And with you sharing that part right there, that's powerful. Like I got goosebumps because when you think about the numbers, the sheer numbers and mathematics of how powerful that is, I think there could be no doubt in our minds that we're not who you said we are in the very beginning with being creators, creating on the planet. What is some of the advice that you would give to our brothers and sisters who do feel disconnected, who do feel like there's a block where they don't have direct access to that spiritual lineage, to that ancestral heritage, to that ancestral birthright of being true divine children of the Creator? How would you advise them to tap into that divine aspects of themselves?
One of my first steps is something that even I practice myself. And that is, there's nothing wrong with Black people. Something happened to Black people. I understand why you feel that. And I'm not going to try to talk you out of certain things. I know exactly why you feel that way. And I want you to understand that you have to forgive yourself for whatever has brought you to where you are. A lot of it is guilt, brother. Not just the guilt of our lifetime, but remember all our ancestors. There is a collective guilt that we carry with ourselves for all the things that we may have done in all the different lives that we may have that dwell within us. And no matter what, before we can move forward with our divine mission, we have to forgive ourselves. And by forgive, I'm very careful, because forgiving for me doesn't necessarily mean what it means to most people in the English language. Own your life. Own what has happened. But also understand that there's work to be done. You can't afford to be distracted. And no matter how old you are, if you're still alive, it's never too late. For me, Brother Andre, two of the saddest words in the English language. In fact, to me, I don't know any sadder words. There might be other sad words, but there's no sadder words than the words too late. There is always chance. I come upon elder brothers and sisters who may have come upon conscious work as they reach their mature years. And most of them regret and say, I'm so sorry that I didn't know this when I was young. And I always say to them, but that's all right, because maybe the way things were, it wasn't meant for you to know it back then.
Right.
Now you're ready to accept it. It's never too late.
Right.
Maybe when you were 20, 30 years of age, oh yeah, if you had come upon this, we would have been powerful, but were you of the mindset then that you are now? Because it could have done damage to you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Too much of a good thing can be dangerous. And so what I say is accept yourself for who you are, wherever you are in your point of life. But the one most important thing is when you look in that mirror, you got to love who you see.
That's facts.
That's something that Dr. Sebi said to us, to me personally, throughout my friendship with him, throughout my relationship with him. The first step in healing is self-love.
That's facts.
People look in the mirror and say, I hate how I look. That's not how you should say it. You should say, I love how I look, but I know there's room for improvement.
Yes, sir.
And because I love myself, this is what I'm going to do to get to where I need to get. There should be nothing about you that you hate.
Yep.
You're alive. You are the creator having a human experience. Creator don't make mistakes.
That's facts.
Love yourself. Love your pigmentation. Love every kink in your hair. Love the width of your nose and the shape of your lips. And from there, build your divine assignment. But until we get there, there's nothing else anyone else can do for you.
Right, right.
Liberation and emancipation. There's a piece going around, and I always quoted Gil Scott-Heron. the brilliant musician, one of the beginners of rap music, in his piece called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." And he explains what he meant by that. And what he was trying to say is that the truest revolution, he says, what you see happening in the street when people are marching, they're protesting, they're rebelling, that's not a revolution. That's the result of the revolution. Because the revolution happens in the mind. And when that revolution takes place up here, then you start to rebel. Then you start to march in the streets. Then you start to get into governance and things like that to make things better. But your mind cannot be televised. So that's why the revolution will not be televised, because it happens in the mind. It was a brilliant. And he has a piece going around now on Twitter and on Facebook where he's talking about this. And this is something that I've quoted ever since, I used to visit him in Washington, D.C. back in the 70s, because he taught at the University of Washington, D.C. He taught writing. And I used to go by his office. And, he was just a good brother. He would sit and talk to me, this young brother, talk to me. Hey, brother, how you doing? Okay, what you up to? What you doing? We would just talk. I always respected his time, so I knew I had to go. But we would spend 5 or 10 minutes. There were sometimes he wasn't there, and I would talk to his secretary. There were some times that he wasn't there, but then he'd come in while I was there. And so he was profound in his thoughts and ideas. That's why when you go, you can't find his music. Because they don't want you to hear that type of music.
Right.
I think of Bob Marley. When I first heard Bob Marley, I was exposed to him in 1975. I thought of Gil Scott-Heron and a combination of Gil Scott-Heron and Malcolm X.
Wow. That's a powerful.
That's how I saw Bob Marley.
That's a powerful combination.
I mean, he revolutionized my thinking.
Right.
It was on his album Nati Dread. And so the idea that we're dealing with right now is that the change that we need is going to happen up here. And without this change up here, nothing is going to be successful on the outside. That's why so many of our movements have risen and fallen, because this hasn't changed. And this is why I often say, keep on keeping on. It ain't over till we win. Because that's basically what I'm saying to us as a people. Okay, so we'll have obstacles that we have to get over. Okay, so we deal with it and get over it. But don't give up. Failing is not when you don't succeed. Failing is when you don't try. And I've always felt that, and that's what I used to teach my children. Failing is not when you don't succeed. Failing is when you don't try. Winners never lose. They either win or they learn how to win next time.
Yeah, that's facts.
You keep on keeping on. You don't give up, ever. Our ancestors on the plantations never gave up. I'm speaking as a group now.
Oh, yeah.
As a group, they never gave up.
Right.
They kept on keeping on, knowing that somebody would be where they dreamed. And whether we realize it or not, that's where we are right now. We are in a very unique place in our history and in our existence.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful. So now, one of the things, and I want to get your opinion and perspective on this, because when we talk about self-love, I'm sure you see it. Actually, I know you see it, and a lot of us seeing it. But what are your thoughts on this agenda that's been, I believe, inflicted upon our women in terms of wanting to change their bodies, wanting to alter their faces, wanting to do all these different things? How do you feel about that? Where do you feel like it came from, and the purpose of the intentionality of why it's being so force-fed into our culture? And what do you think about it? I had this conversation a lot, especially with women, and particularly my queen about it, because I don't like it, and I feel like I do feel like it's a lack of self-love, because in my mind, I'm like, I don't believe anyone who's done that, like whatever inspired them, or the lack of self-love or self-confidence that inspired them to do that, after they get it done, I really would like to interview someone who's had it done and ask, do they really feel better about themselves? And if so, I just would like to know why, how. So what is your opinion on that? What do you think of like this whole, I won't call it a movement, but this whole trend that's happening with that?
Well, I think that it not only happens with us as a people of melanation, it happens to everybody, particularly women.
Right.
Brothers too, but women in general, because it's a business, it's a money-making venture.
Yeah.
And if they can keep you unhappy with yourself, you'll always be trying to become the person that someone else is telling you you should be, as opposed to being who you were born to be.
That part. Yeah.
And that becomes the cornerstone to who we are as a people. And we're making a whole bunch of people rich.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Over things that may not be attractive at all. In fact, there's a lot of folk, and I'm speaking about other cultures, that are on the front cover of magazines that will tell you they wish they looked the way that picture looks of them.
Yeah.
It's been so photoshopped.
Yep.
It has been so altered that that's not even them.
Yeah.
And so they have us chasing and looking for all the things we seek in all the wrong places. But the system is making money.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, because I think that many of the things that we're doing right now, they're coming out with this information where they're finding out that so many people who straightened their hair, particularly our sisters, that it has actually been a cancer-causing agent.
Fibroids, cysts, all types of different side effects.
Yeah. And again, the two saddest words in the English language, when you find out, it's too late.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can sue them. You might make some money.
Right.
But you only have but so much time to enjoy it. And the same thing, and again, I don't wish sisters, brothers, I love us, but we got to look at this real straightforward as it relates to what we are doing to ourselves. There's an aspect in the book, Carbon Before Melanin, where I talk about hair and I talk about fingernails. It's called the integumentary system, which is everything on the outside, your skin, your fingernails, your hair. It's called the integumentary system. Your fingernails are living, okay? They're living entities. They breathe. They need oxygen. They're hard because of what they're made up of.
Right.
But they're still living. Have we ever wondered why, when we get these things put on our nails, these long nails, have we ever wondered why the people that put this on your nails are wearing masks, but they don't give you one? Have you ever wondered, or do you think that the chemicals that they're trying to avoid going in their nose isn't somehow coming up into yours? Have you ever thought that anything that could attach itself to your nail so strongly that whatever they put on top, that longer nail, that's not suffocating your cells? And just like the straightening chemicals that go on your head, the same principle is not going on your nails. We have to start thinking about these concepts. And not just that, but we're paying exorbitant amounts of money
to do it,
to get it done. Instead of just looking at your nails and say, I love how my nails look.
Right.
And even if I change my nails, who is it that I'm trying to impress?
Right. That part.
And so when we think about the sensitivity of our eyes, and we notice some of the eyelashes that women put on their eyes. You wonder, them are some big eyelashes. What keeps them attached to your eye?
I think they use glue, right?
And if it is glue, what do you think that glue is doing to your eyes? Every time you blink, okay? If that's strong enough to keep those lashes on your eyes, what do you think that's doing when it goes in your eyes? And what do you think will happen with your nails, with your hair, with your lashes? What do you think is going to happen when you mature and become 60 and 70 and 80 years of age? What do you think is going to happen to your eyesight? Because this is trailblazing places now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We have never done this as a society before, so we don't know what the outcome is going to be in 20 to 30 years. And so we have to ask ourselves these questions as to what's going to happen as it relates to all these different ways of losing weight.
Yeah.
Like the freezing weight. They are going in and, I mean, it looked like they stab in your stomach when they're trying to take the fat out of your body. What do you think that's doing to the cells, to your body? When in reality, it's about diet, okay? Diet. When there's a very simple process, if you wanted to go down to the weight that you were born to be, because everybody wasn't born to be rail thin.
Right.
You know, you got an ectomorph, a mesomorph, and an endomorph. Everybody wasn't meant to be extremely thin. It's according to your body type. And so when you're dealing with your body type, Brother Andre, there are women that were meant to be, by all means and understandings, they were meant to be 180 pounds. But they brought themselves down to 120. You're not meant to be 120 pounds.
Right.
If you eat the proper foods, and if you exercise, and if you stay away from those dangerous things, and if you have behavior modification where you have discipline in what you eat, there are things I enjoy eating. Behavior modification, fasting. These are things that are necessary. I've been going to Dr. Sebi since 1988. I go to his wife now, Sister Ma'at, and also his son, Victor Bowman. Right now, I'm maintaining my herbs through them. Maya for my blood system, Nervino for the nervous system, Bolo for my immune system. Cleansing the body. Green foods. You know, they got a HC21 for your lungs now because of the virus that came out a couple years back. There's ways that you can come down to the weight that you belong, and you don't have to pay nobody all that crazy stupid money.
Right, and it's natural.
And it's a natural way, and you come down to where you should be,
where
your body should be, in your time and space, not what they tell you you should look like. Some people were not meant to be a certain size. And then they got you doing all this stuff about getting white teeth. But Dr. Laila Africa tells us your teeth ain't meant to be white. That's why when you look at the color, when people say bone white, what color is that? It's off white.
Yeah.
It's not a dark color.
Right.
But bone white is a beige
tannish
kind of color. That's what color bone is.
Right.
Now they got you stripping your mouth, putting things like they say that you can just color your teeth white. All right. They got other ways that you can make your teeth white. But do you think you're not swallowing that chemical? And if that chemical could take off the color of your teeth, what do you think it's doing to your esophagus and to your stomach and to your small and large intestine? What do you think is going on?
Wow, that's deep. That's something I never even thought about, that one.
And you're making your teeth look away they were not meant to be. We don't admire. We want our teeth to be white, but the reality is your teeth, Dr. Laila Africa takes you through a whole process. Your teeth are not supposed to be white. They're supposed to be an off-white type of color. A clear of any food particles or anything like that.
Right.
Dental care is very important.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question that it's very important to take care of your mouth, your teeth.
Right.
But what are you doing to your teeth? So that your question is well taken, because in so many different ways, they got us chasing things that we're not supposed to be.
Right.
But folk making money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hand over fist.
They are. And that goes back to what you said originally and what we were talking about. It goes back to self-love.
Yep.
Because if you love yourself, Creator don't make mistakes. I don't need to alter who I am. There are things cosmetically that people do. I understand that.
Yeah, I get it.
The beautification and just how you feel, the way you dress, various hairstyles, just things that you may do, jewelry, things like that. I understand all that.
Right.
But when you start to deform parts of your body to look a certain way,
and risk your life for some of these surgeries,
and you weren't meant to look
thousands upon thousands of dollars to risk.
That's right.
For some of these surgeries.
I mean, first of all, sisters don't have to put anything in their backside.
Listen, that's a whole nother show in itself, because that's the thing that really gets me sparked up about it, is that we paying to look like the people who've been for decades paying to look like us. So that's then now it brings me back to what you were saying about the mind and what makes a slave.
That's it. That's it. The revolution will not be televised.
Yeah.
Because your changes happen when you look in the mirror and you love who you see.
Yep.
And mean it.
That's facts.
And begin to develop a relationship with yourself of self-improvement, mentally, physically, spiritually, and soulfully. That's when it happens. And you realize that those things that come into your life are not problems that cannot be channeled. They're obstacles to be gotten over. When you run track and you run the obstacle course, the thing is to jump over the hurdle. Okay. And people who run the obstacle course are faster than people who run straight. Because what it takes to go over that hurdle makes your legs and your ability strong, as opposed to running straight. Right. So those of us who have gotten over those hurdles, those obstacles, are more perfect than people who have had a straight run.
Listen, that's a perfect segue into another question that I got for you. This is a conversation I had in a personal conversation, but it came back from the Black Panther Part 2 movie. And the question was asked, I think the statement in the movie was, only broken people can make the best leaders. And I believe, I think it was the water general that made that statement. So the question was posed to me, do you believe that's true? I said, absolutely, I believe it's true. I said, because how can you be a leader if you don't know how to fight struggle, if you haven't learned how to fight and overcome adversity? How can you lead anybody if you've had a silver spoon or just a clear-cut path, like you said, in the race, where you didn't jump over no hurdles, you didn't have to go around any obstacles? How would you know how to lead not only yourself, but other people to or through any type of struggle or any type of adversity if you haven't been through a struggle?
Yeah. And what would happen to that person if they ever had a straight run and then an obstacle came?
Right. Right.
Would you know what to do?
Right.
Would you be able to execute it successfully? Dr. Martin Luther King said that your character is built during times of controversy and conflict, not during times of comfort and convenience. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that that's very true. Some of my greatest lessons I learned, brother, came in areas where I was making mistakes.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that.
You have the path of Ma'at, which is the path of righteousness. Mm-hmm. And when you're not on the path of Ma'at, you're on the path of Ishvet. Mm. Okay? It's not the wrong path. It's just not the right path. Right. Because some of the greatest lessons I've learned is when I was on the path of Ishvet. Mm. That allowed me to find my way back to the path of Ma'at. Right. And once on Ma'at, I learned a lesson about Ishvet. And so I see that as great power to be able to overcome. I've often told people, I make mistakes. And I probably will continue to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. But I never make the same mistake twice. Right. I'm a human being. Right. I have a right to make mistakes. I just don't have the right to make the same mistake. You should learn. And out of that comes the work that you're doing. Hmm. And your ability to move beyond. I've learned so much throughout my time as it relates to errors on the road of Ishvet. Hmm. I've learned that each of us is born with a Judas and a Messiah. Hmm. Judas's job is to make sure that you never reach your divine destiny. Hmm. The Messiah's job is to make sure Judas isn't successful.
I know that's right.
Judas will fall down 9 times, but the Messiah will rise 10. Hmm. It's not how many times you fall that's that important. It's how many times you rise. Do you ever fall and decide, I can't take it, I ain't gonna get back up? Or do you get back into the fight of your life and continue to process? Mm. Our ancestors decided to get up. As Dr. Maya Angelou said, and still we rise. Mm. We are a magnificent people, brother.
Yes, sir.
Very unique and magnificent people that a lot of people are scared. Once we enlighten ourselves, we dangerous. Mm-hmm. Once we come together and we support each other, once brothers and sisters love each other, whenever I've heard a sister say, I don't need a man, immediately I know she has never known a good black man. Because if you knew a good black man, you would understand what a balance he may be to you. Whenever I've met a brother that say, man, these women ain't nothing but gold diggers, they ain't no good. Immediately I know you ain't never met a good black woman. Because whoever you are as a black man with a good black woman, you better.
That's facts. Big facts.
That's bottom line right there. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we have sometimes dwelled amongst the wrong people who are having rough times. So we judge everybody for what the select few we've experienced.
Yep. No, that's facts. And you mentioned like 3 keywords that sparked my transition to my next question. You mentioned ancestors. You answered. You said a good black woman, black queen, and then I know that you have an event coming up in the very near future where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to be honoring and paying homage to one of our most prominent black queens, and also who's now in the land of the ancestors, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Do you want to kind of elaborate on her and her significance to our where we are now and the work that she's done up until now, and then kind of how, you know, you plan to pay tribute to her in terms of
Oh yeah.
what you got.
You know, in Jacksonville, Florida, Harun Nasset and I are coming down, and we'll be speaking at the Scottish Rites Masonic Cathedral, 29 6th Street West in Jacksonville. We'll be there for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. It's the Sankofa 360, the 720 Studies Group. Our first day, Saturday, is going to be honoring Frances Cress Welsing. Both events are going to start at 1 o'clock, the 18th and the 19th. Starts at 1 o'clock. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was a clinical psychiatrist. She was a child psychiatrist who I had a chance to work with through my time. I was an educator of early childhood. She was a psychiatrist. And so I reached out to her many times when she came to New York. And she helped me, guided me to bring out the best in me as an educator and to understand fundamentally the mental state of children, particularly Black children. And to be able to have the understanding and the patience to understand what it is that we have to do. I also work with Dr. Amos Wilson, and Dr. Amos Wilson used to talk about intellectual lobotomy, you know, operation on the brain. And when you're operating on the brain, the operation that you have to have has to be so sensitive, because we as a people are so fine-tuned in our experiences. You can't go in just and just think you're just going to do it.
Right.
You have to be a skilled surgeon. And I remember him talking to me and explaining to me, because you see, the other thing, Brother Andre, is that I was a teacher, South Central Bronx, for 31 years. I never left the community. I stayed in the same community and taught the children, and I watched some of them go from kindergarten straight through college. In fact, there were times when I taught college, I had students that I had in middle school, they were now college students in my class.
That's what's up.
Okay. I remember them when they was like 8 and 9 years old, and now here they are 19, 20 years old. So this is how deep what I was attempting to do. When I talk to you about my curriculum guides, my study guides, my webinars and my webinars, they come from the front line attack on education. And I came to realize one thing that's very important, Brother Andre. Our enemy is not people. When I go down to Jacksonville, my enemy is not Governor Ron DeSantis.
Right.
My enemy is his ignorance. His ignorance. The greatest enemy of the human family is ignorance, because the greatest gift that we've been given is intellect, reason, and language. That's what separates us from every other living entity on the planet. We have been able to assemble through our brain functions intellect, which is the collection of knowledge, reason, which is the manipulation of that knowledge to come to higher order thinking skills, and language, which allows us to transmit that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to other people, particularly our children. And in working with these scholars and being exposed to their work as a young teacher, studying with them, Asa Hilliard is another, Dr. Edwin Nichols is another, that you just develop an understanding of the community, the children, what they're going through. So instead of judging them as you would judge other people that should not be acting like that,
right,
you come to realize that there are different ways to get around the great challenges that our people and our children have. And so Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is somebody that I am honored to honor and to talk about. So we'll be doing a serious PowerPoint presentation. You know, Harun Nasset helped me put this together. And it is a very serious presentation What is most important to me about that is the fact I'm coming from a brother long before Hidden Colors, long before Outer Darkness, long before anything that brings me to where I am today. I was a brother walking the streets of South Central Bronx as an educator, as an administrator, attempting to get pride, understanding, self-respect, and self-love. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is quoted as saying, self-love and self-respect is more powerful than an atomic bomb.
Message. Yes, sir.
Just think about that phrase alone.
Yeah.
When you love yourself and when you respect yourself, nobody can come at you. And so we'll be honoring our sister on Saturday. And then Sunday, we'll be doing something on education, just like I showed you my curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be highlighting my book, Spirituality Before Religions. Because that book that I wrote, Spirituality Before Religions, was meant to bring a knowledge and wisdom of the legacy of our people as it related to how they saw themselves as they wrote the pyramid text, the coffin text, the Memphite theology, the Aten text, the Shabaka stone, which became the third book that I wrote, Shabaka stone, which when you analyze it and you dissect it, it actually is the Old Testament and the New Testament combined. It is the surahs of the Quran. It is the very foundations of the spiritual system of Judaism, which is called the Kabbalah, and Sufism in Islam. I wanted to show the community without disrespecting any religions, because my books don't try to disrespect in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
That's not my intention. My intention is if you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, if you are Jewish, Hebrew Israelite, if you are agnostic, atheist, Zoroastrian, Buddhist, I want you to understand where your philosophy came from. And if you can understand that, then you can become a better Christian because you'll Africanize it. You'll become a better Hebrew because you'll Africanize it. You'll become a better Muslim because you'll Africanize it. You'll become a better Buddhist, Zoroastrian, Confucius, whatever you want to call yourself, Zen. It all comes from the mind of African. But while Egypt or Kemet was the mouthpiece, it was the tongue of the knowledge and wisdom, the Twa people in Central and Southern Africa is the mind. So we'll be able to celebrate those 2 days, the 18th and the 19th in Jacksonville. The unbanned banned curriculum.
That's what's up.
We're gonna unban.
I like that. The unbanned banned curriculum. I like that.
We're gonna unban it, brother Andre. We're gonna bring it front and center.
Yeah.
For the community to understand.
Yeah.
What we're talking about.
I like that.
It's time.
Unbanned.
And it's also time for us to realize only us can do it.
Right.
Only we can do this. We must take the responsibility to educate our children. Don't waste your time expecting someone else to do for you what you should be doing for yourself. Because why would you want someone else to do for you?
Right.
I don't want them to do for me. I'll do it.
Right. James
Brown say, I don't want no one to do nothing for me. Just open up the door, I'll get it myself.
You know that's right. That's what's up.
And no, he get in a conversation with Bobby, one of his musicians. And Bobby said to James Brown, he said, James, what we gonna do now? James Brown say, Bobby, I don't know. But whatsoever we do, it's got to be funky.
I know that's right.
Whatever we do, it's got to be funky.
Right.
That's what's going to attract our children.
Right.
Funky. That's an African word. funky, deep, deep in the metaphor, deep in the understanding.
Right.
Unlike anything they'll learn out here. This is why we have this problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Board of Ed is boring.
Right.
When I taught 8th grade social studies back when I was close to retiring, I was teaching 8th grade social studies year. And the student said, Brother Kaba, this is boring. I said, yeah, this is boring. They say, yeah, Brother Kaba, this is boring. I said, really boring? They said, Brother Kaba, this is really boring. And I said, well, I tell you what, multiply that by 10. And that's how bored I am teaching this to you.
I know that's right.
But give me 20 minutes to teach you what I got to put on that test on Friday. And then I'll spend 20 minutes teaching you what you should know about George Washington and about Thomas Jefferson. I'll teach you where the real Constitution came from. I'll teach you about the Moors. I'll teach you about the indigenous people. And that you are part of the indigenous people, the original indigenous African people that came here 100,000 years ago. Just give me 20 minutes because I want you to pass this test.
Right, right.
And then I'll teach you what you need to know. It's boring.
Right.
It doesn't go as deep as our children are thinking.
That's big facts.
It's just straightforward. And so I think that my trip down to Jacksonville next weekend, the 18th and the 19th, to speak at the Masonic Lodge becomes very important because I will provide the community with an answer. I'm not coming down just to complain. When I was growing up, Brother Andre, and I would say something to my mother being the thinker that she was, she'd say, Skip, that was my nickname. She'd say, Skip, where'd you find that out? And I said, well, I read about it. She said, well, bring me the book where you read it. Don't say something if you can't show where you got that knowledge from. Okay, so here I am. I'm smart now. Okay, so I'm going to trick mama now. Okay, so down the road, I would tell her something, and she'd say, Skip, where did you get? And I'd already have the book, and I'd show her the book. And then she'd say, now go out and bring me 2 more books that say the same thing. You talk about research 101. That's the kind of background I come from. To be able to understand that, okay, so I had 3 research. I already knew it in my head. But what my mother was trying to say is that in the world that you're living in, you have got to be able to back up what you say. And so when I'm out here talking about the brilliance of Black folk, I got to have a curriculum that I can bring the children through. Okay, this is years of research and writing and working and staff development. I don't come to the community with nonsense. Dr. Clark used to always tell me, the community that you're talking to is far more intelligent than some of them let on. He used to say, perfect your craft. And he used to always say, be prepared. Be prepared. And I've often, from the lessons I've learned from my elders, be they people such as Dr. Clark or Asa Hilliard or Dr. Ben or my parents or elders that I just knew, lessons that I've learned, I've never forgotten. And so now I come to the community and I'm saying, support the work. You wouldn't mind spending $110 on a ticket to laugh with Kevin Hart.
Right, right.
Which I personally don't have a problem with because somebody making money on him.
Right, right.
So I don't care about however much money he make, he deserve it. Basketball players, football players, somebody making money on you. You deserve as much money as you can get. I don't have a problem with that. What I am saying is to value knowledge and wisdom and understanding as much as you do, a night of laughing with Kevin Hart.
Absolutely.
Okay, respect that and be willing to put money up to support them. I also look to us who are doing this work and to show the community that you're serious about what you're doing. Where is the money going? Have evidence that shows the community where your money is going.
Right.
Because that's the other thing, because we got some pimpastas out here.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay, and we have to be real about this.
Yeah.
They come at you with the sweet silver tongue.
Captivate a crowd real good.
Oh, absolutely. But when it comes to actually doing something, they're not there.
Years and years and years go by without seeing the construction of the what's been received in the collection plate. But
yeah. And then the community gets
donate to the collection plate too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can tithe 10%, you can tithe the scholars that are trying to bring our children to higher levels of consciousness.
That's facts.
Because when all is said and done, if it ain't about the children, it ain't about the future. And if it ain't about the future, we ain't got one.
That's big facts. Big facts. What we talking about? We ain't talking about that. Ain't a whole lot to talk about.
That's right. That's right. You know, so, you know, my trip coming down to Jacksonville is very real. And what I'm attempting to do is to show the community that we can do this.
Absolutely.
We can do this. This is not theoretical. You know, this is not just pontificating.
Right.
I'm bringing the hard evidence with me. I'm bringing all my guides, all my books.
Receipts.
That's it. That's the only way I've ever been able to relate to people. Show me what you're telling me. You know, practice what you preach. Walk what you talk. And that's where we have to be as a people. And our people will support you.
Oh, yeah.
They'll go to the ends of the earth to support you when Malcolm called it sincerity. I call it authenticity. Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But our people know authentic people.
Oh, yeah.
They know sincere people.
It resonates.
It does.
It's a different.
And when all is, say again.
No, I said it's a different energy. The frequency of authenticity, it resonates at a different level.
Absolutely.
And the real recognize it.
And when our people come in contact with those individuals that are doing this work, they'll put everything they have behind that person and raise that person up. We've seen it before. Malcolm is an example. Martin Luther King is an example. Adam Clayton Powell is an example. We could go through the list of all the great people. Shirley Chisholm is an example. We have the examples of those that have come forward. Mary Church Terrell, Sister Bethune. So we have examples in our past of authentic people. Fannie Lou Hamer, Harriet Tubman, okay? Black folk will support you, but you got to be authentic. And for some, you can get away with it for a little while. But eventually, our people will check you.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a matter of us making this happen, brother. Little by little, step by step. And so, you know, like I encourage folk, you know, what the brother has here is the that you can go to. It's a 2-day event. And it's, you know, it's at the 13 Moons Apothecary, 6050 Moncrief, Moncrief Road, Suite 8 in Jacksonville. And the phone number is 904-551-0110.
Could you repeat one more time for us, Professor Kaba?
Where we'll be speaking is the Scottish Rites Masonic Cathedral, 29 6th Street West, Jacksonville, Florida. You can get tickets from the XIII, I assume that's 13, Moon's Apothecary, Apothecary. Address is 6050 Moncrief, Moncrief Road, Suite 8. And that's in Jacksonville, 33209. That's the zip.
And I'll put that in the show description too, so people can.
Okay.
I'll go find the site and put the link on there so people can click on that as well.
Okay, and the phone number for that place, the apothecary, is 904 551 0110.
Gotcha. And that's 13 moons.
Yeah, 13 Moons Apothecary.
That's what's up.
So that's where we'll be, brother.
That's what's up. Yeah.
And we're bringing our stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, you know, honestly, and I don't know if people can understand how sincere I am when I say this. I hope people understand what I mean when I say this. But I'm really not caring about the governor of Florida.
Right.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. The question is, what are we doing? You know, like, are we just here thinking that we just need them so bad to teach our children when we ourselves can teach our children? I sent my children to public school all of their lives, but I was their teacher from the moment they were born.
I know that's right.
I used to tell them, I'm only sending you to school to learn how to socialize.
Right.
You pick up some information here or there.
Yeah.
I'm your teacher.
That's facts.
It's up to us. It's the African tradition. We are, the community and the parents are the teachers. And if we can't get to that, then we're going to miss out on a lot of different things, brother.
Thanks.
And so when I come to Florida, I'm not coming to complain. I'm coming to share with the community some of the answers to what we're facing. Because personally, I think that Western education in and of itself is superficial. I mean, I call them superficial sapiens. You know what I'm saying? We super sapiens.
Oh man.
They're superficial sapiens. They're shallow. They only can sense from their physical senses. Everything that they determine comes from their physical senses. This is why they create an artificial intelligence, because they can't depend on their own natural intelligence. And there's nothing more powerful than natural intelligence. Everybody talk about being worried about AI. I ain't worried about AI.
Right.
AI will never be more powerful than natural intelligence.
I know that's
particularly when you pair natural intelligence with your ancestral intelligence.
Yeah, I like that phrase. That's definitely that's dope.
That's AI to me, ancestral intelligence.
I might remix that one. I like that.
That's it, brother. That's it. That's where we are.
That's what's up.
You know, here on Wednesday, November 8th, on the East Coast, about to become 12 midnight.
Right.
This is where we are.
Facts.
This is what we're doing.
Putting in the work.
That's it.
Putting in the work.
No complaints. You know, one of the things that I tell people is that, you know, life is like nature. When you're born, nature gives you a deck of cards, a set of cards. Life is like a card game. I use that metaphor. And you're given cards to play. I have known people that have been given a very bad hand. And I've known people that have been given a very good hand. And I've known people who have been given a good hand and they lose the game. And I've known people that were given a very bad hand and they won the game. So I've come to realize it's not the cards that you're given in life that matter. It's how you play them.
That's facts.
And we black folk been playing our hand to the hilt, brother.
I know that's right. That's facts.
The fact that you and I are right here, Brother Andre, is evidence.
Yeah.
Your ancestors brought you this far. My ancestors brought me this far. And here we are talking about what we're going to do for the future.
Oh, yeah.
In some circles, they'd say that's a miracle. Amongst us, it's how we roll.
That's it. That's facts.
We got it. That's it. That's just the way it is.
Big facts. Look, I wake up and talk to him every single morning, too.
That's it.
That's how I start the day.
That's it.
Libations and salutations and getting it cracking. Like, what y'all got for me today? I'm ready to get it.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Never ask for anything.
Yeah.
Just guidance.
Yeah. That's it.
Because whatever I'm going to get, I'm going to get anyway. I was born getting what I'm getting.
Oh, yeah.
So ain't nothing going to change. The question is, what am I going to do about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's real. I tell you what, man, I definitely appreciate you. It's always a legendary conversation, man. I tell you that. I think out of all the people I had the honor to speak to, you're definitely the one who I take the most notes with for sure. It's always jewels and diamonds in the conversation. That I got to make sure I have notes to go back and reflect and put the use and put the work, man. So I definitely appreciate all the opportunities and the time and all the information and knowledge that you've shared with not just me, but the people who that listen to the programs and the information that I put out there, and it's greatly appreciated. And I can't tell you enough how many people know me just by being, connected to you, having interviewed you. And it's been a wonderful experience. So I definitely appreciate you and all that you do. And I look forward to seeing more, and definitely look forward to the event in Jacksonville for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. I encourage the family to come out. But, particularly those that are directly in the Florida area, in Jacksonville. It's going to be an event to be remembered. It's my first time back in Florida since Governor DeSantis took over. And I've been mulling over what he represents and what he's said. And I've attempted to think about where this sits with us as a people. And I think our emotions are taking us in an area where we don't need to be. Because we have to understand exactly what's going on. And what's going on, Brother Andre, is we got this. And they know it. Their concern is we're going to figure it out. So they're going to try to distract us as much as possible. No distractions. We on our way. And we all going to get there. When? That's what we got to work on. If, no. We're going to get there. It's not if, it's when. Same thing with reparations. We're going to get reparations.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's when. And the longer they wait to pay reparations, the more interest going to be on that reparations.
Big facts.
It's just the way it is. It might be my great-grandchildren. I don't know. It might be my grandchildren.
Yeah.
It might even be me.
Never know.
Don't know.
But
it's not if, it's when.
Yep. By any means necessary.
Absolutely.
It just has to happen.
And brother, listen, man, I congratulate you on all the great work that you're doing, man.
I appreciate you. Appreciate
no doubt. No doubt, brother. No doubt. Absolutely. The work you're doing is phenomenal, brother. Your generation of what the work that you're doing, I see that you're with the young people, you're talking to them, you're developing them. No, brother, just your being in their presence has so much of an impact on them. I'm just proud of what you're doing, brother, and I just encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And, speaking of that, that's where, like I said, I'm following in your footsteps. I'm working on the academy now. And within hopefully by the next time we actually have a podcast, it'll be running. I can get you to come in there and speak, because one of the lane that I'm focusing on the heaviest is the financial literacy and the entrepreneurship in the business space. And that's something that even when I go into classrooms, I'm speaking to them about the Reginald Lewises of the world, or, about the, what's the sister name, that the first Black millionaire? I can't think of her name right now. She did it with the hair products.
Madam C.J. Walker.
Madam C.J. Walker, yeah. I'm speaking to them about that because a lot of them don't know. And I'm like, you know, we know about LeBron, we know about Mike, we know about Jay-Z, we know about these icons, but Reginald Lewis was the first Black billionaire. And, you know, a lot of us have never heard of him, you know, and that's something that I'm on a mission to change, for us to know that not only can we do it in the entertainment and all these other aspects, but we can do it in the business world as well, because we've been doing it. Like you said, the ancestors and those who came before us have been doing powerful things. But
absolutely,
you know, we don't know how many of us have done such powerful things. And so I'm on a mission to do the same thing, you know, and
that's right.
To help us in that way and in that light, for sure.
There's no doubt, man. Just take a look at Mansa Musa.
Yeah. Yeah. That's big.
This brother broke the World Bank.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I wore my T-shirt, my Mansa Musa T-shirt to the barbershop last 2 weeks ago when I went, and the brother seemed like, man, where you get that shirt from? I was like, bro, so what you know about Mansa? You're like, oh man, it was dope. But yeah, you're right. We can go way back to Mali.
Oh yeah. We can go back to a time when there was no other person on the planet but Black folk, where we had that wealth.
Yes, sir. Big
fact. And the real and the wealth of the future is in solar power. I tell people the future wealth of the planet is in solar power, which is energy. Yep. Our ancestors understood it. That's why they built the temples and the pyramids. They were harnessing that power, the sun, in order to create all the things that would happen on Earth. So that it's here. We just got to get it together, and we've got to work together to make it happen for the young people and help them understand exactly who they are.
Absolutely.
You know, so we're just going to keep on doing it, brother. It ain't over. And again, to the family, I'm just looking forward to coming on out there to Jacksonville, Florida, and sitting with the people and speaking with them, getting us into a position of understanding our power and our majesty, what it is that we have to do. We don't have to invent anything new. Just look at those that came before us. They left a blueprint for Black power, as Amos Wilson wrote in his last book. So it's just a matter of time, Brother Andre.
All we got to do is pick up the blueprint and execute.
That's it. It's already with us.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, Professor Kaba, and ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everybody for checking out this episode. And this has been another episode of the Prolific Perspectives podcast. I'll have all the information in the description of the show and the show comments. And Professor Kaba, I want to thank you again for taking the time to stop in with the family. And I definitely appreciate you. I'll be reaching out soon. And so for everybody listening, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all, and we are out. Peace.